embracing the power of now. Y'all hear the birds? You hear the birds, right? Have you been listening to them a little bit closely? Right? Have you been tending to the trees, like really embracing the tree? Like during the new moon, did the change of the season affect you in any way? Have you been in touch with the rising of the sun, the setting of the sun, the rising of the moon, the setting of the moon, the clouds when they take over the sky and when they clear it up? Have you been really tuning into that? Have you been tuning into your own energies? When you feel stirred up, when you feel relaxed, when you feel at ease, have you been observing that, transforming it? Have you been embracing the power of the now, right? Like this is an important conversation. Have you? Questions to ask yourself. So once again, if you haven't joined the Holistic Book Club Intertribe on the app, I recommend you go do so. That's where I'm going to post all the reviews. I even posted the chapter by chapter audios. I'm going to start doing that. So if you went there on the Intertribe in the app, you would have seen that. But once again, I want to open up the space. Anything you want to share about anything, you can. I'm going to pull up the book and we'll talk about it. And from that, we'll go from there. We will go from there. All right. So the Intertribe, you want to go on now. So I'll show you real quick. Okay, so you see, this is chapter 5, The Power of Now. And this is the audio. If you just click that, you'll be able to tap into it. And that's in the Intertribe, right? You click the 3 dots on the left, you go to Intertribes, you scroll down, and then you click Holistic Book Club, right? And then here's chapter 5, the chapter. You can listen to it. I'm also dropping each of the reviews there. How you look for specifically the power of now is once you in the Intertribe, you click the 3 bars again. You go to topics and you could search just anything that has to do with the power of now. Click that and you'll be able to get anything that has to do with it. And you could watch it, review it, and go for it. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to go over chapter 5 of The Power of Now. And I would love for this to be very interactive. So as we go through it, share your opinion. Let's talk about it, and let's see what we can learn together from it. Chapter 5 is about the state of presence. Okay. So what do you think the state of presence mean? Right? What is the state of presence? Just hearing that name, that title. What do you think that means? Anybody want to chime in with the state of presence? What's your take on that?
What it takes to be present, how to be present.
Okay, what it takes to be the present, how to be present. What else? Anybody? Okay, so let me read this first thing. You keep talking about the state of presence as the key. I think I understand it intellectually, but I don't know if I ever truly experience it. I wonder, is it what I think it is, or it is something entirely different? So the author then says, you can't think about presence. Your mind can understand it. Understanding present is being present. So let's try this experiment as suggested by the author. So close your eyes, right? Everybody, let's do it together. Close your eyes and say to yourself, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. Close your eyes. Make sure you're doing it. right? Actually do it and put yourself in a peak state, right? So bring your chest up, okay? Bring yourself up. In fact, I'm gonna have to pause. We're gonna pause the book right quick because I need you to be in a peak state. Be present as you tap in. Okay, be present for this. This is the only way that this really affects or works or transforms is the amount of presence, the state of your presence. So what we're gonna do is instead of going straight to it, we have to do a breathing exercise, right? Because what we need to do is we need to increase the amount of present, right? So how are we gonna do that? You're just gonna breathe in and breathe out. We're gonna do the fire breath. We're gonna bring more blood oxygen to the brain. We're gonna bring more oxygen, more blood flow, more circulation. And that vital energy you need. Okay. So you're just gonna breathe in through your nose. So we're doing the fire breath, right? You breathe in through your nose, you breathe out the nose repeatedly. But using your diaphragm. The breath in, if you're too busy, take a deep breath and breathe it out your mouth. And now we're gonna do a different sort of breathing. We're gonna breathe in through the nose. The one nostril, right nostril, hold. Block the right. Exhale out the left. Breathe in through the left. Fill in the lungs, hold. Exhale out the right. Breathe in through the right. Hold. Exhale out the left. Breathe in through the left. Hold. Exhale out the right. Breathe in through the right. Hold. Exhale out the left. So we're doing an alternative nostril breathing. Breathe in through the left while holding the right. Hold. Breathe out the right. Breathe in through the right. Hold. Breathe out the left. Breathe in through the left. Hold. Breathe out through the right. Breathe in, hold. Exhale. All right. So now that should have gotten you back to a state of presence. Just doing that alone, right? And you could notice the differences, right? All right. So back to the book we go. So close your eyes, right? Now you close your eyes and say to yourself, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. I wonder what my next thought is going to be. I wonder what my next thought is going to be. Then become very alert and wait for the next thought. Be like a cat watching a mouse. What thought is going to come out the mouse hole? Keep trying. What thought is going to come out the mouse hole? I wonder what is my next thought. Okay, now open your eyes. What happened? Anybody want to share?
Nothing.
Why did that happen?
Because we were being present.
Because you're
Well,
being present.
I imagine myself in Disneyland.
Well, you see, you was asking yourself that you was doing the wrong exercise. The exercise was to, I wonder what my next thought.
That was
Not
my next.
put in the next thought.
That was my next
I
thought.
wonder what the next thought. What was that?
My next thought was going to Disneyland.
Oh, okay.
That was my next thought.
Okay, so if you didn't think of anything, comment a 1. And if you did think anything, comment a 2 so I can see. Okay. So the author then says, when you're in this state of intense presence, you're free of thought. You are hot, you are still but high, yet highly alert. The instant your consciousness sinks below a certain level, thought rushes in. The mental noise returns. The stillness is lost. You're back in time. Have you ever been sitting down in meditation or standing up in meditation, and then all of a sudden a thought came to your head randomly?
Yes.
Did you kind of like notice the shift between being in the now and then just shifting to the past or the future? You notice how that feels like? It's like somebody touching you while you're sleeping and they just woke you up, right? So then author says, what they would do to some Zen masters is they will, while they're sitting in the meditation, right? They want to test if they're really conscious, if they're really present. So some master would try to creep up from behind them or stepping aside. And if he were hit, it means that he wasn't immersed enough in his meditation, the person sitting, because he was not present enough to notice or feel what's happening around him. The more you're present, the more you can feel even the wind touching your skin. So it says you have to be deeply rooted in yourself, or other the mind will drive you along like a wide river, right? So you have to pay attention to the inner energy field of your body. Feel the body from within. Body awareness keeps you present. Posture, everybody. Posture. First of all, I'm going to keep saying posture. So get yourself seated in a peak-like position, chest up, chin up, shoulders relaxed. And as you do that, make sure you're breathing in and out. Now, we're going to do an exercise where you get in touch with your body, right? Get in touch with your limbs. Because what we want to do is we want to not just talk about the book, we want to experience the book. So let's do that. Let's do that now. Okay? So you're going to, as you sit down, you're going to start by wiggling your toes. Close your eyes about halfway. Right? Start by wiggling your toes. And then now feel the sensation coming from your toes, working your way up towards the shin. Right? And then towards the knee. And then just put your focus on the front quad. And then the hamstrings. Work your way up towards the waist. Just feel what's happening in the waist. Move if you must. Move the hip joints. Shift your weight. Feel what's happening within you. When you get to the waist, tighten the booty and release it. Tighten the anus sphincter and release it. Breathe in and breathe out. Slowly work your way up to the lower abdomen. Breathe in and breathe out. Tighten your abs and exhale. Breathe in and form an air baby. Work your way up. Make sure you're doing the exercise. Stay present. And if you drift off, catch yourself drifting off. Now go back to the waist. Feel the side, your obliques. Work your way up, feeling the back. What's happening in your back, in your chest, in your shoulders. Arm. Raise your arm up. Lower them down. Feel your neck. Rotate your chin to the left. And then rotate it to the right. And then feel the chin, the base of the neck, your head, and your forehead. Wiggle your fingers. Slowly open your eyes. Quick question. Did you embody your body fully? Just now, what did you experience? When you become aware of your body, yes,
Yes.
That's it. Yep.
it anchors you in the now. So the author says the presence can be compared to waiting. Right? He says Jesus used the analogy of waiting in some parables. So instead of restlessly waiting, how many of you have been waiting for something, but then you kept thinking about when is the thing gonna be here? Rather than kind of just like waiting and just being there. Not worrying about if the thing's gonna come. I'm waiting, I'm focusing on what's happening. Right? So alert. So you have to be absolutely still. So it says, be like a servant waiting for the return of the master. The servant does not know the hour which to come, but he stays awake, alert, poised, still, lest he miss the master's arrival. Right? And then he uses another analogy, right, of his interpretation of what this meant. He's saying that the 5 careless women who did not have oil was saying that the carelessness was in the unconsciousness, and the oil they didn't have was the consciousness. Their lamps was not burning because they was not being present and missed the bridegroom, in which he refers to as the now. Now that's his interpretation. Now if you go into the word, right, you see what the interpretation is. But to some extent, the now, bridegroom referring to as the Lord, God is in the now. Right? I am the beginning. You know, what does that mean? I surpass time. So then, he puts it in this way of how unconsciousness is like oil. And if you don't have enough of it, you're not burning, you're not staying present, and you might miss connecting to the creator and not going to the wedding feast called enlightenment, which in the word really refers to salvation. But as you can see, he utilizes some things from the Bible to support his cause. But all he's saying here, you must have enough oil to keep your lamp burning. So you must be conscious and present enough that will keep your spirit lit up. Right? And the way I see it, the more conscious you are, the more you will light up. You will be more of the light of the world. So, right? So like I said, make sure what you do is the product of your own conclusion. So now, here's what it says. Have you ever had a moment of no mind? Anybody ever experienced this before? A moment of no mind. Have you ever gazed up to the infinity of space on a clear night, awestruck by the absolute stillness and unconceivable vastness of it? Have you ever truly listened to the sound of the mountains deep in the forest? Or the sound of a black bird at the dusk on a quiet summer evening? This is an actual question I'm asking you.
Yes.
Anybody would like to share an experience that you had in nature where you got so lost in the moment, you were lost in the sauce?
There's too
Anybody?
many to tell. There's too many to tell.
Well, just tell me a quick 2-minute, anybody.
Walking along the shoreline and listening to the
Visual.
waves crash.
Last night, I was awoken, and I thought it was beautiful because I wanted to do my intentions for the new moon, and I fell asleep, and it was awoken at like 1 o'clock by a family member calling to speak their truth. Since I am such a truth speaker, I give others the courage to look inside, and then they come and they reveal. Sometimes they whisper their truths to me. And it was a beautiful discussion that I had. And then it prepared me for what my intention was to do my, intentions in new moon ceremony. And it was beautiful. My phone died because in beforehand, I was, too overwhelmed and into, of course, technology. I get caught into the matrix. And for a birthday party, please. And I was just looking at the sky, and what are wind chimes for? To let us know when there is wind and when there's energies in the area, to let you know that they're there. And I have these very old bamboo wind chimes. There is not a wind around, but those wind chimes sounded. And that was so beautiful, and it made me so aware of those who are with me in spirit. Whether it was my Madrecita, which is what we call her, my grandmother, who passed less than 3 weeks ago, or whether it was my other grandmother who passed 6 years ago, and I know she's with me all the time. Because those two women put their intentions in me because they saw the power in me since I was a child. And that was my all with nature in my backyard last night.
Beautiful. So with beauty comes pain sometimes, and it's a release when we get to see the beauty that lies in it, So the vastness, I think, of the sky kind of tells us the vastness of our spirits. So I can see how that can bring about you tapping into that emotion, because the sky and the clouds have to do a lot about letting go, because the rain comes and it goes. The clouds come and they pass away. So beautiful experience. Thank you for sharing. So as you can see, being in the present moment, sometimes it can take you into the present, but then it could, anything could remind you of the past, and you could get from the present and it can pull you, right? So the Zen masters use the word satori to describe a flash of insight, a moment of no mind or no presence, right? Of total presence. Beyond the beauty of external forms, there is something more, something deep, an inner holy presence. An inner essence shines through somehow. It only reveals itself to you when you are present. Go deeply into the presence, right? I say your presence is a present to the world if you present it well. So your presence meaning the spirit, the present meaning the gift, presenting it meaning being conscious, in the presence of. So when you experience those moments of presence, you likely didn't realize that you were briefly in the state of no mind. This is between the gap between the gap between that state and the influx of thought was too narrow. Your satori may have only lasted for a few seconds before the mind came in, but it was there. Satori also comes in when you're working, when you're laboring. There is beauty in your typical labor. I used to be curious as why my moms love cleaning. Now I found out it's a therapy, right? It's not that she just loves cleaning and she just want everybody to clean. It's just that it's a therapy. And imagine if you do your therapy and then somebody dirties over all your mental therapy. That kind of piss you off on the mind. Like, look, this is the result of my therapy and look what you did to it. It's my passion project and you messed it up. What's wrong with you? You messed up my puzzle. And it's true, because there's something about that when you're presently wiping off Mr. Miyagi, right? Right? That's why he had the Karate Kid doing those, wipe on, wipe off. Not only was he teaching him the moves, but he was teaching him presence and manual labor. The monks also do labor in a meditative fashion, mopping the floor, taking out, going for the food. That in itself is part of the present meditation. So from cooking your food to doing the laundry, all of these things bring about a lot of things. So let's get back to the present. So the wide time gap between perception and thought, the more depth there is to you as a human being, which is to say conscious you are. Some people are imprisoned by their minds that the beauty of nature does not really exist for them. How many times you said that's a pretty flower, but you didn't look at the flower for more than 2 seconds? Oh, that's pretty. Oh, that looks good. But you glanced at it. You really did you see the true beauty of it? So we live in a mind-dominated culture where modern art, boom, 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 is devoid of beauty. So sometimes you're never in touch with the place where the creativity and beauty arise. So let's keep going. When you become conscious of being, what is really happening is that being becomes conscious of itself. When being becomes conscious of itself, that's presence. First of all, who remembers what being is? What does it mean for being to be conscious of itself? What does it mean for being to be? Hold on, I can't do that. Okay, what does it mean for being to be conscious of itself? A being conscious of itself means that your spirit notices there's a spirit that exists within you. You just realize you're not just the body. You're conscious of your soul is present. You realize that, oh man, I'm seeing more than what I'm seeing. I'm seeing more. When you see past what the eye can see, the being is experiencing the being. That's when your third eye, the pituitary, you see it, you develop a greater eye inside. Okay? Let's keep going. So, light, right? Light. Consciousness and light, your spirit and light has a lot to do with light. We'll leave it at that. Think about life and light. Light being one of the most predecessors for life. Without it, no life. So the concept of being you light and the concept of light traveling is that you are part of the whole. You being a light, you having energy, right? You shining, you having an aura. There is a energy body and there is a emotional body. There is a physical body. Your energy body, if you really were to look at you underneath a heat sensor, you'd realize that you give off an energy field and you even have a halo above your head, your crown. While most people think the crown sits at the head, it sits above it. Now, you can't see it with your human eyes, but it still lies here. So you being a light means that you have to make sure that this light gets cultivated, that is tapped into the light. Now, unless you sit still enough or in prayer or meditation, it's hard to even do that because you're being in darkness, you're remaining in the dark. To sit in the light is to be present enough so that way you can tap into the God energy or the consciousness that lies in everything, which is what we're going to get to next. Consciousness takes in different shapes and forms, thought forms and material forms. Take a look at the million lines of form of this planet, in the sea, on land, and in the air. Each life form is replicated millions of times. To what end? Is someone playing a game with form, right? So, wow. Is someone playing a game? Well, I don't think it's a game. I think it's a beautiful stage that has been created with such creativity that it is amazing. Like the cats have an intelligence, the bees have their own intelligence, the ants have an intelligence, the roaches have an intelligence, the birds have an intelligence, and even the wood knows to compose. Even the leaves that fall off the tree knows to compose and keep the soil wet. So everything has its own intelligence and it works with this intelligence, and the intelligence within it is the essence of it, is the godly power of it. And if you see a cat in its natural presence, you can see itself representing how like God is in everything. Like the way, like the cats only live in the present, but they are triggered by the past. Let's go there. Stick with me on this one. Cats live only in the present, but they're triggered by the past because they only live out of what they call the mammalian brain. Here's the thing, and this is kind of, tap me on this. Your mammalian brain have to do with your fight or flight. So it's either you're operating in rest and digest or fight and flight. Rest and digest means that your body, you are not stressed. You don't feel hyperactive. You don't feel like you need to do something. You don't feel like you need to get anything inside of you to make you feel better. So when you rest and digest, your heart rate is slower. You are breathing at a normal pace, even sometimes slower. Your brain waves can even slow down from high beta to alpha. So rest and digest. That is closer to a meditative state. Then you have the next one, which is fight or flight. When cats are living, they're just in rest and digest up until a memorized thing comes up and they just run. You ever seen that that thing is run? Wait, you have seen it? Hold up. Okay, look, this is not important right now. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. That's for TikTok. That's the perfect example of fight or flight. That song is, it's like you see somebody just randomly walking, they're in sync, run. And then you hear the beats and drum, they start running out of nowhere. So that's pretty much it. That's how cats are operating. They're in the present moment because they can't think about the future and they can't think about the past. However, as soon as something happens that bring up their fear sequences, all of a sudden it takes them out of the present. So the same consciousness in the cat is the same consciousness in you. However, we're steadily thinking about the present and the future and the past. But hopefully, yes, that is makes sense. You got that one. Consciousness takes the disguise of forms until they reach to a complexity that it completely loses themselves in them. Right? Consciousness identifying with a disguise. So you are disguising a piece of consciousness. A piece of God is within you, and you're disguising it as your name or your personality or your identification. So what I mean of that is, if you're you're a piece of the light. If you are of the sun, you are of the light. You're of God, and you're a piece of God. So, and it's in the essence of it, you're a piece of consciousness, but you are representing that consciousness as whatever face, whatever race, whatever age, whatever gender. So according to this book, right? And I do believe that to be true. We're a piece of the divine and we represent the divine as our egoic mind. As we live this journey on earth until we go back and we merge with the infinite consciousness. Okay, which is what then the author talks about. Talks about to see, imagine if you were put back in the sea of consciousness. If you were put back in the beach sand, think of you as a grain in the sand of consciousness, and you were back in that grain, and every day your purpose was not to identify as a single grain, but to just thrive in the ecosystem of all the grain and become the grain. So it's as if when we are meditating, we're tapping into the essence of everything that is peaceful, that is godly, that is whole. And we're almost like experiencing heaven on earth by aligning ourselves with God. It's almost like being in heaven, because think of you being in all your energies praising, all your energies in full gratitude, all your energies sparked up, lit up, and no worries is of the mind. Your entire essence is of praise. And that in itself is pure consciousness. No more identifications, letting go of who you thought yourself into being. So get out the grip of the egoic mind and understand that you are not your mind. You are a spirit. Use your mind. Don't let your mind use you. So the author says we are often going in such anguish that if we would be in our heads way too much if we didn't have, and it's not a good replacement, but people would be way more distraught if there wasn't vices like alcohol or drugs or something to take for them to escape, because they would cause so much havoc and chaos with the thinking, right? So instead of going for those, you can go within, you can release that with your own intention and focus, bringing peace to your body, going from thinking into being, right? So let's see what he says. There is nothing impersonal in this. I am not teaching you. You are consciousness, and you are listening to yourself. There's an Eastern saying, the teacher and the thought together create the teaching. In any case, the words themselves are not important. They are not the truth. They only point you to it. I speak from presence, and as I speak, you may be able to join me in that state. I totally understand where he's coming from. I say I like to speak from the Holy Spirit. It's as if the words are converging with my consciousness and they create a beautiful creation. Normally happens every day for me, right? Because every time I step in to do a podcast or do the Rising Prime, I'm automatically in the present. I'm really not thinking about much but I'm legit embracing the power of now, right now. So as you can see, silence is even a more important carrier of presence. So listen to the silence wherever you are. Become present, silencing the noise. Listen to the silence, the peace. Okay. So author mentions Christ a lot. Don't get attached to any one word. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see what else. Any interesting concept that we're missing? Okay. So what do you guys think about this? The second coming of Christ is a transformation of human consciousness, a shift from time to presence, from thinking to pure consciousness. Okay, not the arrival of some, you see, my beliefs just kicked in. I don't believe in that second part, but I believe that it's both, you know? We are gonna shift, but I do believe that a being will come, right? But what are your thoughts on this? All right, like I said, we can all put our own ideas. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that being is already here, but that being is within all of us, or transports into different people to it goes with, I think it's more of a spirit that goes into different people at various times. Why just be one being when you can be infinite?
Right. And yes, I respect that. Who else has an opinion on this paragraph? Okay. So as you can see, right, I think the essence of Christ lies within all of us, the Holy Spirit. And I do think Christ will return in the format of light, as it is spoken. And in all of us lies the essence, right? The Holy Spirit. I do totally love this idea of the transformation of the human consciousness, a shift from time to presence. That is what made me love and look forward to heaven more than ever, and believe in it regardless of what other people say about heaven, right? Because what I see heaven as is when we disidentify with our egoic bodies, and we become in a spiritual form, right? And in this sense, we converge back with the Most High, right? So I do believe in it, but I do also believe that while we're here, making ourselves whole enough, we can experience that here within. To be able to experience it in some form here does not mean it does not exist in a different form otherwise, right? I can neither confirm nor deny. All I can do is believe. And as the author says, if you live by the divine presence lies within you, you have an inner guide of truth that just kind of like speaks to you when it speaks. So always make sure what you do is the product of your own conclusion. But I really love reading the book, viewing some of the points that it has. And yeah, the presence. What does this say? Presence is one. So let's read what it says. Group work can also be helpful for intensifying the light of your presence. Okay, so how about we read the whole thing. If you are drawn to an enlightened teacher, it is because there is already enough presence in you to recognize presence in another. There were many people who did not recognize Jesus or the Buddha, as if they are, and always have been many people who are drawn to false teachers. Egos are drawn to bigger egos. Darkness cannot recognize light. Only light can recognize light. So don't believe that the light is outside of you or that it can become through another particular form. If only your master is an incarnation of God, then who are you? Any kind of exclusivity is identification with form. And an identification with forms means ego, no matter how well disguised. Use the master's presence to reflect your own identity beyond name and form back to you and to become more intensely present yourself. You will soon realize there is no mine or yours in presence. Presence is one. Group work can also be helpful for intensifying the light of your presence. A group of people coming together in a state of presence generate a collective Yes, I'm glad just to be of service, and this was a great chapter. What were your thoughts on it? Go back and read chapter 6 for next time. We're going to be discussing it on Friday.
And Friday we can invite people, correct?
Yes. There's a link in the chat, and you can invite your friends on Friday. Please do so. Post a flyer, send a link to them, let them cut through. So look in between your fingers, breathe in, breathe out. So yesterday was a new moon. I love looking at the cycles of the moon and the sun. Now, why? Because it gets me in tune with what's happening with nature. And as we go to a new cycle, Put your tongue at the base of your two front teeth, arms above the face. This is the standing meditation. You breathe in, breathe out, and set an intention of healing for the month, for the next cycle. Breathe in, breathe out. Set an intention. What do you want to create in your life? The essence. How do you want to experience the state of presence? Breathe in, breathe out. I see in this next cycle continuous progression towards my worthy ideal. I see in me during this next cycle peace and tranquility, remaining in the present moment. I see in me in this next cycle fruits, productivity, communication, abundance. So what do you see in yourself during this next cycle? Breathe in, breathe out. All right. Put your arms down slowly. Breathe in, elevate your arm. Breathe out, arm down, exhale. Breathe in, shift your weight. Breathe out, shift your weight back. All right. So drop the affirmations from yesterday that you came up with, as we are only going to be doing the affirmations from your script affirmations and not the ones that you randomly come up with. Okay? So if you didn't watch yesterday's video, make sure you do the previous video, which talks about subconscious scripts and internal conflicts.